When solving for a variable under a square, we have to invoke the square root function. Similar to the absolute value, when we use the square root function, we develop two cases. But why are there two cases? Maybe an example can help us clarify this. What is 2 squared? And what is negative 2 squared? Well, they're both 4. Okay, so let's do some backwards thinking now. If we want to find the square root of 4, we are asking what number multiplied by itself gives me 4. Then in general, the answer is 2 and minus 2. Sometimes we pick one over the other depending on the context of the question. For example, if we are taking the square root of 25 to find the length of something, then we choose 5 as our answer, since length is measured in non-negative numbers, right? We never say something is negative 5 feet long. Here's our first example. X squared plus 3 equals 12. In order to solve for x, we must isolate it on either side. The first thing we'll do is subtract 3 from both sides. Now, I have to deal with the 2 in the exponent. I'll do this by invoking the square root, which means I have to create two cases. The first case I assume the inside is positive, and the second case I assume that it's negative. This is reminiscent of our approach to the absolute value. Now it's just simple algebra to solve for x. Example 2. 2 times x plus 3 to the second power plus 1 equals 33. First thing we gotta do is isolate x as much as possible. Let's subtract 1 and then divide by 2. Now we have to deal with the 2 in the exponent, so let's use the square root and consider the two cases. For the first case, there's no extra work needed. For the second case, we take everything under the exponent, put it into parentheses, and throw a negative sign in front of it. For the positive case, we just have to subtract 3 from both sides. For the negative case, we have to first divide by minus 1, then subtract by 3. So our answers are x equals 1 and x equals minus 7. Last thing I want to mention is how the question slightly changes if it were an inequality rather than an equal sign. For the most part, all the steps are the same, except when you divide by minus 1 for our negative case, you have to remember to flip the inequality sign. This shows up a lot in your homework and even on your final, so let's make sure to get a lot of practice in with these methods.